The sun rises over the rugged frontier town of Silver Valley, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson. The air smells of fresh hay mixed with dust kicked up by wagons rolling down the main road. Merchants shout their wares while ranchers lead cattle to market. In the distance, the jagged peaks of the mountains stand tall against the horizon, their snow-capped summits glowing softly under the morning light. I lean against the wooden corral fence, watching Silver Star prance gracefully. His coat gleams like polished silver under the sunlight, and his mane flows like liquid silk. Dusty sits loyally at my side, his tail thumping rhythmically against the ground. "Look at him, Dusty," I whisper, smiling. "One day he'll be the fastest horse in all of Silver Valley." Dusty barks eagerly, his ears perked forward as if he understands every word. Sheriff Wyatt Briggs approaches, tipping his wide-brimmed hat. His weathered face carries wisdom earned through years on the frontier. "Mornin', Josie," he says kindly. "You best keep an eye on that colt. Grady McCoy's been seen lurking around." My stomach tightens at the mention of Grady McCoy's name. Everyone knows he's a notorious horse thief, cunning and ruthless. "Don't worry, Sheriff," I reply firmly. "Dusty and I won't let anyone take Silver Star." He's more than a horse. He's my dream, my hope, my future. But dreams can be fragile, especially in a place like Silver Valley. But promises are easy to make when danger feels far away. That night, darkness swallowed the valley whole, and so did fear. Night falls quickly in the Wild West, blanketing the land in shadows. Crickets chirp loudly, their song blending with the occasional hoot of an owl. Inside our small cabin, the flickering lantern casts dancing shadows on the walls. Pa snores softly in his chair by the fire, exhausted after a long day of work. Suddenly, Dusty growls low in his throat, snapping me awake. Something isn't right. I tiptoe outside, clutching my lantern. The corral is empty. Panic grips me like icy fingers. "Pa! Silver Star's gone!" I cry out, my voice trembling. "Dusty! Find his trail!" Dusty sniffs the ground intently, his nose twitching as he picks up the scent. Without hesitation, I grab my satchel and follow him into the unknown. Fear can paralyze you, or it can push you forward. With Dusty by my side, I chose to move ahead, even when the path seemed impossible. "I ain't wasting no time. If Silver Star's out there, Dusty and I are gonna find him. No outlaw's gonna take what's ours." With a hurried motion, Josie grabs her hat, slings a rope over her shoulder, and whistles for Dusty. The dog takes off, leading the way-nose to the dirt, tracking the stolen colt's trail. The adventure begins. A sharp rattle cuts through the stillness, a sound so sudden and jarring that my heart leaps into my throat. There, coiled menacingly on the narrow path ahead, is a rattlesnake. Its scales glisten faintly in the dim light, and its forked tongue flicks out as if tasting the air. My breath hitches, and I freeze mid-step, afraid to make even the slightest movement. "Easy, Dusty. We can do this," I whisper, my voice barely audible over the pounding of my own heartbeat. Dusty stops dead in his tracks, his ears perked up, sensing the threat. Slowly, I crouch down, keeping my eyes locked on the snake while reaching for a sturdy stick lying nearby. I inch sideways, careful not to provoke the creature further. Each second feels like an eternity, but finally, we're past it. The snake remains coiled, its rattling fading into the night as we continue on our way. Relief washes over me, but only briefly. Ahead lies another challenge, a rickety wooden bridge spanning a roaring river far below. The planks are old and splintered, some missing entirely, revealing gaping holes where the rushing water churns violently beneath. The sound of the river fills the canyon, drowning out all other noise. One of the planks snaps beneath my foot and I stumble, clutching the ropes for dear life. My heart races as I regain my balance, glancing back to see Dusty staring up at me with wide, worried eyes. "We've got this," I mutter, more to myself than to him. Finally, we reach the other side. After what feels like hours of navigating the treacherous terrain, we finally spot the glow of a campfire flickering between the trees. My pulse quickens as I creep closer, staying low and using the dense bushes for cover. Dusty stays close, his body tense, ready to spring into action if needed. Through the foliage, I catch sight of Grady McCoy and his gang lounging around the fire. Their laughter rings out harshly in the quiet night, clashing with the peaceful hum of crickets and the occasional hoot of an owl. Grady leans back against a log, stroking his scruffy beard with a smug grin plastered across his face. And then I see him Silver Star, tied to a post near the edge of the camp, his beautiful silver coat dulled by dust and exhaustion. His head hangs low, his spirit seemingly broken. Seeing him like this breaks my heart, but it also ignites a fierce determination within me. Grady raises a tin cup in a mock toast, his voice dripping with arrogance. "This Colt's gonna fetch a fine price in the next town over," he boasts, earning approving nods from his cronies. My hands clench into fists, anger bubbling inside me. How dare they treat such a magnificent creature like mere merchandise? But I know better than to act rashly. Instead, I force myself to stay calm, taking slow, deliberate breaths. Not if I can help it. Sometimes, brains are mightier than brawn, and sometimes, teamwork is the only way to win. I devise a plan, my mind racing. Spotting loose rocks above the camp, I climb quietly, careful not to dislodge any prematurely. Dusty watches me intently, ready for his part. On my signal, I send a cascade of rocks tumbling down, startling the gang. "What was that?" one of them shouts, jumping to his feet. The entire group scrambles toward the source of the noise, leaving Silver Star momentarily unguarded. This is our chance. Dusty darts out from the bushes, moving like lightning. He reaches Silver Star in seconds, his sharp teeth working furiously to chew through the thick rope binding the Colt. Meanwhile, I slide down the slope as fast as I can, my heart hammering in my chest. When I reach them, Dusty has nearly finished his task. With one final tug, the rope snaps free. Silver Star lifts his head, his dark eyes meeting mine. For a moment, I think he might bolt, but instead, he lets out a soft whinny, as if thanking me. "Come on, Star, let's get out of here," I urge, grabbing hold of his mane and swinging onto his back. Dusty barks excitedly, darting ahead to lead the way. We gallop into the darkness, leaving the confused gang shouting curses behind us. As we race through the canyon, the wind whipping past my face, I feel a surge of triumph mixed with relief. We've done it, we've rescued Silver Star. But the night isn't over yet. We still have to outrun the gang and make it back to safety. The canyon explodes with chaos as Grady McCoy and his gang realize we've escaped. Their shouts pierce the night air like daggers, followed by the thunderous pounding of hooves on hard-packed dirt. My heart races as I glance over my shoulder, 3 riders closing in fast, their faces twisted with anger and determination. Silver Star gallops furiously beneath me, his powerful strides eating up the ground. His mane whips against my face, and the wind roars in my ears, drowning out everything except the relentless drumbeat of pursuit. Dusty runs alongside us, his legs a blur of motion, never faltering despite the uneven terrain. Ahead lies a labyrinth of narrow passages and jagged cliffs, our only chance to lose them. I lean forward, gripping Silver Star's mane tightly. "Hold on, boy," I whisper urgently. "We've got this." Silver Star veers sharply into a tight crevice barely wide enough for him to squeeze through. The gang hesitates at the entrance, shouting curses as they try to maneuver their larger horses into the gap. One of them dismounts, attempting to follow on foot, but Dusty leaps forward with a fierce bark, forcing him back. We emerge onto a rocky plateau, the moonlight casting eerie shadows across the landscape. Below us stretches a steep slope littered with fallen logs and loose stones. It's treacherous, but it's our only way out. In the distance, the faint glow of lanterns marks the edge of town. We're almost there. But breathless and trembling, I slide off Silver Star's back just as Sheriff Wyatt Briggs steps out of his office, alerted by the commotion. His sharp gaze takes in the scene, the Colt panting heavily, Dusty wagging his tail proudly, and me covered in dust and scratches but triumphant nonetheless. "Sheriff!" I gasp, clutching my side. "Grady McCoy and his gang, they took Silver Star. They're still out there." Wyatt wastes no time. He blows his whistle sharply, summoning the townsfolk who quickly assemble, armed with rifles and lanterns. Within minutes, a posse is formed, ready to ride into the night. As they gallop away, I collapse onto a nearby bench, exhaustion washing over me. Dusty curls up at my feet, resting his head on my lap. Together, we watch the lanterns disappear into the horizon, praying for their success. Hours later, the sound of returning hoofbeats echoes through the quiet streets. The sheriff rides back into town, flanked by his deputies, with Grady McCoy and his remaining gang members bound and seated on their horses. Cheers erupt from the gathered crowd as the outlaws are led to the jailhouse. Wyatt dismounts and approaches me, tipping his hat respectfully. "You did good, Josie. We got him, thanks to you and Dusty." Tears well in my eyes as he grazes peacefully. Children giggle and point, while adults clap me on the back, praising both me and Dusty for our bravery. Dusty struts around like the hero he is, gnawing happily on an extra-large bone gifted to him by the butcher. Every now and then he pauses to glance at me, his tail wagging furiously as if to say, "We make a pretty great team, huh?" As the sun begins to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I saddle up Silver Star and mount him. Dusty trots alongside us as we ride out into the open plains, leaving the cheers and celebrations behind. The wind whips through my hair, carrying with it the scent of wild sage and freedom. For the first time in days, I feel truly at peace. "You were worth every moment, Star," I murmur, leaning forward to stroke his neck. In the distance, the mountains rise majestically against the horizon, their peaks glowing softly in the fading light. As we ride toward them, I know this adventure has changed me forever. And so, the story ends not with grandeur, but with quiet triumph. A reminder that bravery and compassion can change the world, one small act at a time.